On the afternoon of November 24th, 1971, a quiet man walked into an airport carrying nothing more than a briefcase. He bought a one-way ticket under the name Dan Cooper. No one noticed anything unusual about him. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't acting suspicious. He looked like an ordinary businessman traveling for work. But within a few hours, this calm and polite passenger would hijack an airplane, collect $200,000 in cash, and disappear into the night. More than 50 years later, the FBI still doesn't know who he was. His body was never found. The money was never fully recovered, and the mystery remains unsolved. November 24th, 1971. Portland International Airport, the day before Thanksgiving. Crowds filled the terminal as families prepared to travel for the holidays. Among them was a middle-aged man wearing a dark suit, white shirt, black tie, and sunglasses. Witnesses later described him as calm, intelligent, and well-spoken. He appeared to be in his mid-40s. Around 2 p.m., he purchased a $20 ticket for Northwest Orient Flight 305 bound for Seattle. After boarding the Boeing 727, Cooper took a seat near the rear of the aircraft. The flight was expected to last only around 30 minutes. A few minutes after takeoff, Cooper handed a folded note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. At first, she assumed it was a phone number from a passenger trying to flirt. She placed the note in her purse without reading it. Cooper then leaned closer and quietly said, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Shocked, Florence opened the note. Cooper instructed her to sit beside him. When she did, he opened his briefcase and showed her what appeared to be a bomb. Inside were red cylinders connected by wires. Cooper calmly explained his demands. He wanted $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. If his demands were not met, he threatened to detonate the bomb. The flight crew immediately informed the cockpit. Air traffic control was contacted. The FBI was notified. While the plane circled above Seattle, authorities rushed to gather the ransom money. Banks collected thousands of $20 bills, while investigators carefully recorded every serial number. Inside the aircraft, Cooper remained surprisingly calm. He ordered a drink, smoked cigarettes, and spoke politely to the crew. There was no panic in his voice, no anger, no shouting. It was as if he had planned every detail. After nearly 2 hours in the air, the plane landed in Seattle. Authorities delivered the money and the parachutes exactly as requested. Cooper then released all of the passengers. Not a single person was harmed. But the most dangerous part of his plan was about to begin. With only the flight crew remaining on board, Cooper ordered the plane back into the air. He instructed the pilots to head toward Mexico. However, he gave very unusual instructions. Fly low, fly slow. Keep the landing gear partially deployed. As darkness covered the Pacific Northwest, the aircraft entered heavy rain and freezing temperatures. At approximately 8 p.m., a warning light appeared in the cockpit. It indicated movement near the rear staircase. Unknown to the crew, Cooper had lowered the Boeing 727's rear stairs while the plane was still flying thousands of feet above the ground. Then suddenly, the aircraft experienced a slight movement, a noticeable change in weight. Investigators believe this was the exact moment D.B. Cooper jumped into the stormy night carrying $200,000 in cash. No one saw him jump, no one heard him land, and no one ever saw him again. The search operation began immediately. Hundreds of FBI agents, military personnel, helicopters, and search teams were deployed across the region. But there was one major problem. No one knew exactly where Cooper had landed. The weather had been terrible. The terrain was covered with dense forests and mountains. If he survived the jump, he could have landed almost anywhere. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. No body was found. No parachute was recovered. No briefcase was discovered. It was as if D.B. Cooper had simply vanished from the face of the earth. Then, in 1980, nearly 9 years later, something extraordinary happened. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was digging in the sand along the Columbia River when he discovered several bundles of cash. Investigators quickly confirmed that the serial numbers matched the ransom money given to D.B. Cooper. Nearly $6,000 had been found, but the discovery created even more questions. How did the money get there? Did Cooper die after the jump? Did the river carry the cash downstream? Or had someone deliberately buried it? No one knew the answer. Over the decades, thousands of suspects were investigated. Former military veterans, experienced skydivers, pilots, and criminals were all considered possible candidates.